Good evening and welcome back to the Behind the Leazes podcast. We've had a little bit of time off, but we are back now. There's five of us here. We've got Adam, Rob, Ethan and Andy. Adam, we'll start with you first. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing all right. I've enjoyed my time off, you could say. We're back now with Newcastle. Felt a bit of a dodgy end, I would say, but overall the past month or so has been quite positive for the team.
You've been quite busy yourself as well, Adam. You've been, seemingly here, there and everywhere, following Newcastle's first team, the women, the under-21s, the under-18s as well. You've been really busy, haven't you?
Yes, I have been busy, thank you. No, international break now, so I'll be staying in Newcastle this week, but Tottenham next week, so it'll be just a week off and I'll be back down London again. Very
nice. I must say I'm very jealous. We've got Rob here as well. How you doing, pal?
Yes, I'm good, mate. It's good to see all of your smiling faces again. Yeah, good. As Adam's just said there, a few tough results coming out of the end of what was a really good run for Newcastle, but I think it's come at a good time. Normally, the international break comes at a bit of a time where we could have done without it. We normally win a game, then have 2 weeks off, but on this occasion, we've lost against Everton. The lads are off to Dubai, a bit of a break, and then hopefully we can step into some tough games, but hopefully some winnable ones as well.
Yeah, let's hope for another 9 unbeaten after this training camp in Dubai. We've got Ethan here as well. Ethan, how are you doing, mate? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes,
there's always one.
Getting used to the old mute and unmute thing again. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yes, I'm good, thanks, mate. It's been a while doing one of these podcasts. Missed it. There's been some good football going on. Like Adam said, it ended a little bit bumpy. Last couple of games, 2 1-0 losses, 2 really late 1-0 losses, which is a shame. But, I mean, you can't really complain after going 9 unbeaten. It's been a fantastic period for Newcastle, which has transformed their season, really. So, yes, I'm good, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, the morale in the squad, all them team photos after a win. Andy here as well. How are you doing, pal?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm all right. You know me, always smiling. It is good to see everyone back on the podcast. It's going to just be like a general discussion. Sorry, I can't get my words out. A general discussion on this podcast today, just about Newcastle, the signings, Eddie Howe, things like that. And we'll start with Eddie Howe. Of course, he came in. He was the sort of first big change, wasn't he, when the new owners came in? He was the manager who is going to hopefully take Newcastle to the next level and keep them up in the Premier League this season. Adam, we'll come to you. What do you think of Eddie Howe's start to life at Newcastle? His family's here now, I believe, and he's looking like he's settled in, hasn't he?
The thing with Eddie Howe that I think impressed Newcastle fans the most is first impressions. I think he made the perfect first impression when he came in. I've already said this a million times now. First day at the training ground, he was there 12 hours his first day. He works his first 7 at the training ground, so he clearly was here to work, unlike previous managers, without trying to sound sarky. But the thing with Eddie Howe is, yes, we didn't start off particularly well with him, but again, the team was of an older era, and a lot of those players have improved since. The likes of Shelby, Lascelles, Crafty, sort of players are actually coming out and far better than what we were earlier in the season. Joe Layton's the biggest improved by a mile. And to see these players come out, it's a testament to the manager's skill to actually find the best positions for these individual players and to get them working. The signs themselves have obviously came and helped the team, and Eddie Howe has just made do with the best he's had. I think in the summer window, once he has a lot of time to actually work with the team, work with these new signs that are going to come in the summer, I think it could be wonders next season. I don't want to try and get too optimistic just yet. I think Newcastle are safe pretty much now, to be honest. I know we're going to talk about that in a little while, but I do really feel like the gap we've got now, it's pretty conclusive for Newcastle. But for Eddie Howe, he's been nearly flawless, to be honest. He's been spot on with the selections he's made the majority of the time.
Rob, just with the same question as well, how would you compare Eddie Howe's sort of first half of a year or first half of a season at Newcastle compared to the previous manager's first half of a year at Newcastle?
Yeah, well, I think, Eddie Howe stepped into a team that hadn't won a game yet, and there was clearly a lot to do. I think before Eddie Howe even got in, I think a lot of the fans were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt if we did go down this season, just based on the fact of what a poor position we were in. And he's managed to get things up and running. I think the January window has helped. I think bringing in a few players has definitely helped, but not just for the quality on the pitch, but I think just the off the pitch morale has grown with the signings that have brought a little bit of confidence in. You can hear the players obviously talking about, what's going on behind the scenes, the extra work that Eddie Howe's putting in, like Adam spoke about. And it was one thing that I heard Lascelles say quite recently about, during COVID, it was pretty much a situation where the players would train from home, they would go in, play a 90-minute game with just a bunch of blokes they don't know, and then go home again. And I think one thing that Eddie Howe has done is just created like an actual team. People are actually playing for each other. People want to help each other on the pitch again. It's one thing playing for yourself and wanting to have a good game, but it's another thing, you're looking at like Dan Burn and Shaw. Like Shaw was not playing well at all. And now I would possibly say, now that Dan Burn's put his arm around him, come on, we can do this together. Just creating that kind of system has really helped all over the pitch. So I think Eddie Howe's come in, he's done the simple things right, and it's definitely paid off.
Of course, that wasn't the only big change since the new owners came in. Of course, the January transfer window happened, and we managed to get 5 quite decent players in, haven't we? Bruno Guimaraes, of course, Matt Targett on loan, Dan Burn, who were the other two, Chris Wood and Kieran Trippier as well. Ethan, we'll come on to you for this question. How do you think they've performed since they've joined, and do you think they've been all quite a good addition to the squad?
Yeah, definitely. I think I rated the transfer window after it was done. I gave it a 7. I said we missed out on some key players, such as a attacking midfielder or maybe a winger. But my God, they've done amazingly well. And that, again, the credit has to go to the manager. These aren't unbelievable players that we've bought. Dan Burn isn't an unbelievable centre-half. Matt Targett isn't a top-quality left-back. Chris Wood isn't a prolific goal scorer. But he's got them working as a team, and it's worked really well. The players have gelled from the off. A lot of credit needs to go to the manager, if not all the credit, for getting these players playing together so well from the off to go on the best run in the Premier League, the only team to go for that period. We were the best team on form, and it's not the best side in the Premier League. We've spent a lot of money. Of course, we've spent a lot of money, but we spent it on players that we thought would improve us in each area. We're not getting the world-class players in yet. Obviously, Bruno Guimaraes might be the start of maybe getting that squad together for the long haul, for going to Europe. But this is a team that was put together to keep us in the Premier League and to fight to keep us in the Premier League. And somehow they've managed to perform as one of the best teams in the league recently. So Eddie Howe's done an unbelievable job. And that transfer window that I rated a 7, oh God, it might have to be a 10, having that manager in charge, getting them to play so well together.
And Andy, just on the same topic as well, who do you think has been the best performer out of them January transfers?
Dan Burn, it's got to be. Probably might have been Trippier had he not brought his metatarsal, but he's been class, hasn't he? He's brought that calm and composure to our back line, which we haven't had since probably Colaccini was there. Shaw's now, you've seen the confidence he's got because Dan Burn's there, can control the defence, which means Shaw can go further forward with the ball, which he likes to do. And with Dan Burn being there, it makes the whole squad play better. I think when he's on his game, the squad's on their game.
And Ethan, I just want to go back. You mentioned about Fabian Shaw, before the transfer window.
Yeah.
I'll assume you do like him, but you maybe didn't trust him that much. Do you trust him maybe a little bit more now that he's got, a partner like Dan Burn with him there in defence?
Well, I can't believe how much it's transformed Liam, because to be honest, Dan Burn's a I mean, obviously every centre half can play in a back four, can't they? It's not like you're a centre half who can only play in the back five. But the likes of Dan Burn was playing in a five back at Brighton. Fabian Schär only really flourished at Newcastle in a back five under Benitez. But now you put the two together, and they've been unbelievable. They've been so good. I didn't trust Fabian Schär at all, but Dan Burn. I mean, I was having a look at his stats on FBref when they've got like the percentiles. He's a top centre half. If you look at those stats, he honestly is. I mean, you could argue at Brighton he was third or fourth choice, maybe fourth choice because he wasn't playing every week. And like I said, they play a back three usually. But together, they've been absolutely phenomenal. Goes back to the manager, Liam. That's what's got them playing. I mean, Fabian Schär's not a terrible centre half. He was playing terribly under the previous manager, so was Jamal Lascelles. Jamal Lascelles is getting there. Obviously, he's out the team at the minute. But Fabian Schär, wow, he's been fixed up because of the manager and a new centre-half partner.
You talk about percentiles and stats. I think another player who's really benefited from that is, of course, he wasn't a January signing, but Joe Linton. I was watching a video on, looking at his stats compared to when he was playing as a bit of a striker or winger compared to now when he's in a midfield. And he is meant to be one, just by stats, he is one of the best midfielders in the world now.
Wow. So, in terms of winning the ball back as well, isn't he like one of the best tacklers in the Premier League? This is what I mean, Liam, when we have to give credit to the manager, because this is ridiculous. The transformation is unbelievable. We were sat here weeks ago saying we're down, we're done. I was gloomy as anything. Look at me now. Who would have saw this? It's transformed me. Never mind the players. It's a miracle. And you know what? We talk about top managers. Okay, I'm not going to get too carried away, but we're talking about top managers like Conte, Mourinho, Guardiola, whatever, and Pochettino. And these guys have top PR. That's a big part of it is top PR. There might not be unbelievable coaches, the likes of Conte or whatever's not doing so well at the minute. Pochettino's not doing so well, Mourinho, but they've got top PR. Eddie Howe is still a relatively young manager, but God, he works hard, doesn't he? His work ethic is fantastic, and to transform a regular bunch of players when these top managers have top teams, I would love to see Eddie Howe have a chance with a top Newcastle team. I know there's been talk like a Mancini or whatever, where you get rid of them eventually. They've done their bit. They've took you as far as they could go. But wouldn't you like to see Eddie Howe have a go with a top Premier League team and at Newcastle? Let him bring in those players. He could do a top job.
The passion.
Sean.
I love it. Stevie Taylor passion, that is.
But I believe it.
No, I completely agree with you, mate. I think when you look at how much the team has transformed, he's definitely in the top 7, maybe top 5 managers in the league at the moment. He's absolutely fantastic. And I think we could talk about Eddie all day, but we have got to move on. Let's talk about the summer transfer window now. Adam, I'll come to you on this one. Who or where do you think we should strengthen our squad with? What positions, what players do you think we need to get to try and strengthen our squad a little bit more?
Well, I think the strike has to be the first one. Noah Callum Wilson's injury-prone issues. We know he's going to get injured again at some point. Chris Wood, I don't think he's been a terrible signing, but he hasn't hit the ground running as people would expect compared to his Burnley stats. If he's got double figures past 4 seasons, he's not going to do that this year. So, yeah, he's definitely underperformed, I would say, in terms of scoring goals. So, yeah, I think a striker's needed massively. I think as well, probably a nice centre-half, because if Dan Burn or Fabian Schär gets injured, then you got to bring like Lascelles back in. You don't know if Fernandes has a future at the club. Kraft might have to bring him centre-half. Clark, he knows he's not going to play again. So, yeah, I think centre-half-wise, we're definitely lacking if someone gets injured. So, I think we do need a nice centre-half. I think we just need key players, really. You see, like Kieran Trippier coming. Yes, he hasn't played an awful lot, but even when he's not playing, he's always around the dressing room. He's always motivating the team. I mean, he's a future captain with the way he acts around the team. So I think those sort of catalyst players in. It doesn't have to be an amazing summer window where we're saying double-figure signs. It just has to be like 2 or 3 top-level players to come in and a couple of squad depth, and then that should be fine. But overall, I think the strikers definitely needed, but I think some players that are just quality are needed. Just some actual good signs I could see we improve the squad.
Robert, would you agree with what Adam said there? Would you maybe add a couple more players onto that list?
Yeah, I agree with what Adam said. I think he's right. I think that, I know if you think if Callum Wilson was fit and he was playing up front, I think that's a striker I'd be very happy with. I think if Trippier was available and he was playing right back, that's a position I'm very happy with. St. Max and Fraser on either wing are looking great. The three midfielders are looking fantastic. It's the issue is when we have an injury and the replacement is, again, no offense to these players because they've been putting in a good shift, but Kraft isn't Trippier, Murphy isn't St. Max, Chris Wood isn't Wilson. And although these guys will come in and they'll do a good job, I just think if we could just step up that next level of players available, we're not going to be, as like Liverpool or Man City and have 2 first 11s, but we could certainly try and have 3 or 4 real, impact players, or even at the point where we can freely rotate players without the feeling that we're potentially downgrading the squad by doing so. But yeah, again, we're playing 1 striker up front at the moment. It would be great to maybe have the availability to play 2 strikers up front if we wanted to, but to do that, would need to bring in another striker. So yeah, for me, I like the way the team's going, and if we can keep playing like we are, in theory, maybe we don't need that much, but I definitely think that we could do with, like Adam said, 3 or 4 really key players that will actively improve the squad, not just to come along and join the 25-man. Let's try and get some extra quality in there.
Just in regards to the forwards, would you, when Callum Wilson comes back, play Chris Wood and Callum Wilson as a front 2 maybe?
I would like to have the option to, but I think the way we're playing right now works, so possibly don't change the winning formula. Although I believe that Eddie Howe in the past at Bournemouth did like playing 2 strikers up front, so it's possible that maybe it's something he would be interested in doing. Again, it's just creating more options in a team. I mean, if we're 1-0 down, 2-0 down, let's lump on an extra striker. I mean, right now we can't actually do that at the moment. We're lucky that we've got 1 fit striker as it is. So it will be good to try and strengthen that position for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's, of course, looking at key players, that's one of the big things. But I think the main thing is, maybe just a little bit more depth in this next transfer window.
Yeah.
Let's move on to, of course, I think the main season performance of Newcastle. Gents, do you think Newcastle is safe at the moment? Ethan, I'll come to you on this first. Do you think they're safe? Yeah, this one's for you, Ethan.
Sorry, I missed that. Do you think they're safe? No, I don't think they're safe yet. I'm not just saying, obviously, a little bit in the back of my head is thinking, look how far away Burnley are. But you know what they're like. They can get a run of results together. They're hard to beat. You know what? If you asked me this and we got a result against Everton, I might have just said, we are safe. But that was a massive... I was at that game, Liam. It was gutting so late on. I wanted us to go for the win. I didn't see a loss coming. So that's probably why I'm so deflated as well. But no, we're not safe yet, mate. We need a couple more wins. We need Burnley to keep dropping points. I think, obviously, Leeds picking up a bit of form. Brentford have picked up a little bit of form. They're on our tails now. But I think the ones to look at is Burnley. So we need to think about ourselves, a couple more wins. But let's see how that team in Claret and Blue do.
Andy, would you agree with what Ethan said there? With what Ethan said, do you think Newcastle still have a little bit more to do?
Yeah, I'll be happy when we get to that 38-point mark, which is usually what you need when you to secure your safety. I mean, I agree with what Ethan's saying. Burnley's a massive one we need to keep an eye on, especially with Ivan Toney's came back playing for that team that's nothing special, according to him apparently. Leeds as well seem to be picking up bits of form. I mean, if we go off the 2 games, the games before our last 2, we'll be safe. Like I completely still believe we'll survive comfortably. It's just whether or not we can pick ourselves back up after this international break. And I mean, Tottenham away is a hard place to go, but for us, it's been kind of a happy playground for the last few seasons. I mean, Joe Linton scoring his first Premier League goal in that the first time we played at Tottenham's new stadium, and then thinking back to that one where we had that god awful kit in 2015 that half navy, half green thing where Perez, I think Perez was like a nice little flick he scored, and then Sammy Awiobi scoring straight from the halftime kickoff. So yeah, Conte seems quite weird with in regards to his role at Tottenham. He doesn't quite know if he wants to be there or not. Quite like Lukaku at Chelsea, it seems like everyone's kind of not over into Milan at the minute. But yeah, I think if we came and asked the same thing end of next month, we'll be smiling and probably more focused on going into the summer and next season rather than May.
So I want to move on to this next topic now, and I'm going to go around the room with this. It's about Alan St-Maximin. So the question is how to solve a problem like Alan St-Maximin. I just want to go around the room first and just see, Adam, I'll start with you. Do you think Alan St-Maximin is a problem, or do you think that's maybe a bit silly?
I don't think it's more so the player being the problem. I think it's the system that's kind of a problem. I don't know what's going on at the minute. Something's not working when he comes in the pitch. He doesn't seem to be fitting into the squad well. And I think both times against Chelsea and Everton, when he's came off the bench, we play worse when he's on the pitch. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't really think it's down to the player. I just think overall as a team, we just seem to drop off for whatever reason when he's on. Against Everton especially, that was just a bad performance. I think especially in the second half, we really let ourselves down. Chelsea's fair enough because we've been screwed in the game. And again, it's against the Champions League winner, so that one's fair enough. But the Everton game itself, I just thought we were awful in that second half. And I don't know. I just think when St-Maximin plays bad, the team plays bad. But when St-Maximin plays well, the team plays well. It's probably the best way of putting it. So I don't know. It's something I think Disney worked on. Something doesn't seem to be gelling well. But overall, though, he's one of those players where his ability is just next to none at the club. You kind of need to keep him.
Rob, do you think St-Maximin's a problem at the club? And if so, what do you think needs to be done to try and make him maybe work with the squad a little bit better?
I don't think he's a problem, but that is the question though. How do we get him playing again? I think football's about confidence, and I just think St. Max is just on a bit of a low in confidence at the moment. Let's not forget that he has been away with an injury as well, and he has been making his way back from that. So part of me hopes a little bit that he hasn't been fully there, and that's why he's not been starting the games, because for me, a fit St. Max still starts these games. We've brought him on at the end. It's a tough one because, on one hand, we'll play Jacob Murphy, who will probably play a safer game. He probably won't give the ball away as much. He'll probably track back a little bit more. But at the end of the day, he's not going to create as much. He's not going to score as many goals. And if I had to pick who I'd put in the side, it would be St. Max every time, whether he's in form or not. But to answer your question of how do we get him playing again, I think it's just ride it out, ride the wave. I think he'll get himself a goal or two. We'll play a great game and he'll score another amazing run and he'll be back in form and it'll feel like this little blip never happened, or at least that's what I'm hoping. And to try and cover for him as where we can. If you're going to play a player like that and give him the freedom that he kind of needs to perform like that, we need to stick a man behind him and cover for him. But obviously the way Eddie Howe plays football as well is that keep the ball, pass it around mentality, which again possibly doesn't suit the way he likes to play. So there's maybe a little bit of backwards and forwards on that as well. But yeah, I would say it's not a problem. It's just a bit of confidence and you'll be right as rain very soon.
Ethan, coming to you on that now, do you agree with Rob says? Do you think he's maybe a bit of an issue at the club or with the squad?
No, I don't think he is. I think, like Rob said, you have to remember he's had a bit of an injury. He's still trying to bounce back from that and get into form again. I think you have to remember at the start of the season when Newcastle were terrible, he was probably one of the only good players that we had. Even in a bad team, he can be amazing on his day. Such a brilliant individual. Obviously, under Eddie Howe, we're playing more like a team now, which is good to see. And perhaps St. Maximin's not a player who will track back as much as, like we said, a Jacob Murphy or perhaps a Ryan Fraser. But on his day, he's amazing, isn't he? And he has to start, even if he's not in form. He just needs to get a run of games going again. He's been on the bench last few since he's come back from injury. And once he picks up that form again, I'm sure we'll not be having this kind of conversation too much again. But he's a brilliant player. Don't even think about selling him or doing anything daft. He's great.
He wants to win the Ballon d'Or here, man. Do you not know?
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Why not? If there's going to be a player who can win the Ballon d'Or at Newcastle, it's Alan St. Maximin. Why not?
Alan St. Maximin, then Joe Linton the year after. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, Liam.
Andy, moving on to you next with this topic. Do you once again agree with what everyone else has said? Do you think St. Maximin's maybe a bit of an issue at the squad, or do you think maybe it's something to do with tactics?
No, man, he's not an issue. This Newcastle Twitter, the last couple of weeks since we lost to Chelsea and then the Everton one, it's just been absolutely ridiculous. The comments that have gone towards Maximin, and he's obviously been quite upset about it. The way he's been on social media, put that video up of him running. I think people were questioning his fitness and stuff, and just. I don't get the whole negativity towards him. Like, people attacking him saying we need to sell him in the summer and stuff, because you see how well he's developed since coming to the club. He's been here for near enough 3 years now, and he's developed every season. So we could go again into next season with him, and he could be absolutely world beater. He's the only player we've got at the minute that has the capability of being a game winner and like changing a game completely. And that's a vital thing to have in a squad. So we can't go about just selling them. And the way that some fans have dragged his name through the mud the last couple of weeks is totally undeserved. Every player's allowed a couple of naff games here and there, and especially when you're coming back from injury, which Maximin has. Like, you're gonna be slow coming back into it. I fancy him honestly to score against Tottenham just out of pure like frustration, because it's getting to the point where some fans' treatment of Maximin is getting quite close to how Jose Perez was getting towards the end of his stint with us. And I wouldn't be surprised if Maxi starts pulling out the fingers in ears and stuff. But look, we've got this absolute world beater on our hands, and he just need, like the lads have said, just needs the confidence going forward. And we've seen already the glimpses of what he can do against top opposition as well. I've got no doubts that Maximin can be, maybe not a Ballon d'Or winner, we'll see at Newcastle, but certainly lead us to great things.
I was thinking more of a Ketsbayer celebration rather than a Perez celebration. Taking his top off, kicking the signs and everything.
That
would be something, wouldn't it? We spoke about who would like to see come in this next transfer window, but I think there's going to be a lot of change. I think in the squad that we currently have this coming summer. So who stays and who goes this summer? Adam, I'll start with you on this.
Well, we can't get rid of everyone at once. I said in my video, I think I said about sell half the team. Realistically, I think a lot of them need to go, but we can't get rid of them all at once. It would completely destroy the team cohesion. So I think probably about 5 or 6 will go in the summer, and I think we're bringing around about the same amount. I know Dwight Gale's got a couple of days in his friendly match, but I don't think there's one last dance for him. I think he's going to go. That is one I would get rid of. I think a goalkeeper has to go. I think 4 is too many in the 25-man squad. So one of Doro, Gillespie, I would personally get shot of. I think Hayden actually has got a long-term future. I think when the fact that players like him won that Dubai trip as well, I think it's quite smart from Eddie Howe to get these players involved with the team. But I think Clark's a definitely want to sell. I'll be shocked if he plays next season. He's completely lost it this year for me. All ones I keep an eye on. It just depends what he wants to go for, but I think Gale and Clark are two. I think would definitely go in the summer personally.
So Gale and Clark, I think it's pretty obvious those two. Ethan, coming to you next on who stays and who goes. I'm gonna just say a name to you now. Miguel Almiron. Does he stay or does he go?
Goes.
What's your reasoning for that?
Are you just going to rattle them off, and am I going to say
Almiron, Murphy, no. No, I think, what's your reasoning for Almiron in particular? Because there's been a couple of murmurs about will he stay, will he go? There's been some interest from Spain, I believe.
Yeah. I think Liam, Eddie Howe doesn't favour him. He's never really in the team. He'll make the occasional substitute appearance. Did he start against Chelsea, maybe? I think Almiron's a really good grafter. I think he's a brilliant grafter, but he just doesn't have the end product, does he, sadly? He doesn't really have the final ball, or he doesn't really find a goal. although he nearly did against Chelsea. But yeah, that's the problem with Almiron. There's better players that we can bulk up in those wide areas, which we need to do now. I was crying out for a Jesse Lingard. We need this window to try and get maybe another good attacking midfielder and another good winger, and Almiron's just surplus to requirements, sadly.
Yeah, he started the Chelsea and Everton game, and I think he's just too weak for the league. I think that's always been his problem. He's very small, he's very quick, and like you said, he's a really good grafter, but I think he's just too weak for the league. Yeah. I think that's the big problem. Maybe he's in a league like the Liga. Maybe you look into France, he might do well there, but in the Premier League, it's too physical, I think, for him, unfortunately. But yeah, like you said, he is a good grafter. Moving on to the final topic as well, it's about Chris Wood, one of the January signings. We'll go to Rob and Andy on this one. Has he been a positive or negative for the club? We'll start with Rob.
Has he been a positive or a negative? Well, he's definitely been a positive, because the alternative was we had no striker. So do I want no one up front, or do I want Chris Wood up front? I'll take Chris Wood. But yeah, I know what you're saying, because at the end of the day, I think he splits the opinion of Newcastle fans at the moment, and I'm still, to be honest, a little bit unsure of what side of the fence I sit on. So we'll have to let Andy let us know which side he's on. But I think the two sides are he's a handful. He gets himself about. He wins the headers. He creates space, and he's trying to do what he can. The other side is he cost 25 million and he's only scored 1 goal in 10 games. So I think there is a split. What I will say as well is that I do think that the price tag is almost pulling him down a little bit. It's similar with like Kraft at left back. We only paid 5 million. And I feel like whenever he has a half decent game, it's he did well, didn't he? I think if Kraft cost 25 million and he had a half decent game, it would, it wouldn't get noticed. So I think it's similar with Chris Wood. It's like we're kind of constantly comparing him to what was a very high price tag. If we'd paid 5 million for him, would he be getting possibly the same criticism? I don't know, but yeah, he's been a positive. I'd love to see him score more goals. I do think he's getting away with it a little bit as well, or he was when we went 9 games unbeaten. I think if we'd lost 10 games in a row, there would be an absolute uproar on why he hadn't scored yet. So I do feel like he's like flying under the radar a bit, and I could really do with him. I know he scored for his all-time leading goal scorer for New Zealand now, isn't he? So
another 2 as well yesterday.
Yeah, so I'd love for him to kind of bring a bit of that confidence into the Newcastle side as well.
Yeah, I think maybe he might have just needed an international break just to maybe get his confidence up. We might see him bag a couple against Spurs next weekend. Andy, we'll move to you the same question. Chris Wood, positive or a negative for NUFC?
Firstly, I think as Newcastle fans, price tags are the last thing we should probably be judging players off of now. If we're not learning our lesson with Joe Linton,
yeah.
And now I'm not saying that Chris Wood's ever going to maybe turn into an absolute brilliant centre midfielder, but I think if you separate Chris Wood away from the price we've paid for him, I think he's had a solid start. I would say he's been the reason for a few of our goals in the good run that we had, because he's bringing the ball down, he's knocking play on, he's pulling defenders away from the main play of action. For me, he's been great. Yes, of course, we all want to see him score the goals as well, but he's been providing, maybe not directly assisting goals, but he's been part of the play for nearly every goal that we've had. He's been in there, and he's a handful, which we haven't had from a striker in quite a long time, probably since like a Demba Ba, someone like the big but like can shrug them off, and he's got something about him. I like it, and centre half seem to not like to play against him, and which is perfect when you've got someone like Maximin and Joe Willock's coming back into the play now, because he's finding space where he hasn't for most of the season. So for me, I think Chris Wood's been a great signing. It's just, yes, a couple more goals to see us through at the end of the season, and then look, we're probably going to sign a striker in the summer. I know there's a lot of links to the likes of Darwin Núñez. Obviously Wilson coming back, so he's not going to be first choice going into next season, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do coming back from this international break. Like you say, breaking records with New Zealand. Will come back a team against Spurs with, look, they're relying on Eric Dyer and Davison Sanchez, and I know the new one, Romero, he's been half decent, but he's disciplinary, he's been a bit ropey. Eric Dyer's, we all know what Eric Dyer can be like, and Davison Sanchez isn't the most reliable either, so it'll be interesting going against a Spurs team which will more than likely play 5 at the back. It'll be interesting to see if Eddie matches that up, and it'll be interesting to see what Chris Wood can do against 3 centre-halves.
Yeah, I think what we all need to remember, and I completely agree with your points there, Andy, is that Chris Wood is just one of the players in what is going to be a completely new start for Newcastle. You know, after so long, whatever, had so much disappointment and heartbreak, Chris Wood is just one of them players who he's going to be here, he's going to do his bit, and then in 2 or 3 years' time, he's going to go and do whatever he needs to. But yeah, I think I do agree with you there, Andy, but good points as well, Rob. Before we end the podcast, I think just going around the room, how many more points do Newcastle United need to stay up? We'll start with Adam here.
So we're currently on 31, I believe. I think 2 more wins will do it, to be honest. I think 37 will be enough this season. We're currently 9 points above third bottom. I can't see them getting another 15 points. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think 37 will be enough. So 2 wins in the next 9, I believe, we've got now. So yeah, I think 2 more wins will do it. We've got to play Norwich and Burnley, so you would think it'd be from those 2 games. We've got likes of Palace and Leicester at home as well, who realistically should be trying to get some points off. We still have got some tough fixtures. We still got some of the best teams in the league to play, but overall, I think 2 wins will be enough. If not, maybe an extra point in there somewhere. But I think 37 will be enough.
Well, I mean, I hope it is before the Burnley game, because that one's the last of the season. Yeah. It'd be too tense, that. Ethan, coming to you next, how many points do you reckon Newcastle need to ensure that they have survived?
Yeah, echo that. Probably 2 wins and a draw, I'm thinking. I know I mentioned earlier the Everton game. If we got something from that, I would have felt an awful lot better. Maybe that we were safe. But yeah, I think that's all we need, Liam, pretty much. I think we'll definitely get there because the form has been so good. Obviously, we've lost back-to-back games now. You know what Newcastle are like usually at the start of the season. I mean, last few years, we've gone maybe 8 games, 9 games, 10 games without winning the first lot. But yeah, we always tend to end the season quite strongly. And after a form of recent weeks, I think we'll do just that. So I think we'll be safe, and I think we'll get those couple of wins.
Yeah, and Rob, coming to you next, do you echo what Adam and Ethan said?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Adam said there, the game against Spurs when we come back, I think if we could, I mean, that's a bit of a freebie, to be honest. I think if we could pull off a point in that one, I would take it now. And then we'll go into Wolves, Palace and Leicester, all at home, all in a row. I think if we win that Wolves game on the Friday night, I think we could well win all 3, to be honest, and that's before going into the tougher fixtures. I would have put myself out there and say that I think a win and a draw would be enough in the next 9 games. That would put us on 35 points. If you think that 38 is normally the safe haven, I don't think you'll need that many points this season. I think 35 could well do it, to be honest. So yeah, a point against Spurs and a win against Wolves, and I think anything after that could be free. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, nice little. I was going to say Brucey bonus there, but it's not that anymore, is it?
Brucey bonus.
An Eddie bonus. Andy, do you reckon we still need a few more points to stay up, or do you think we're happy where we are now?
Yeah, get the 7, get to that 38, and then we know we're safe, and then we can throw the Burnley game, last game of the season, and hopefully Everton keep doing what Everton are doing right now. And see them go down, because wouldn't that be absolutely amazing? I would love that. I would. Yeah. I'm going full Keegan here. I would love if they went down. I know my mate Dave, who he didn't stop after they won last Thursday, so I would love nothing more than Everton to go down.
That would be something, wouldn't it? One of the founding Premier League teams, never been relegated before. I don't think even from like the first divisions and things like that, not for a long time at least.
I think maybe one, because I was talking to an Everton fan and I said the same thing. Maybe once. I might be wrong. Maybe once.
yeah, this is part of like the history that we're possibly seeing here. But yeah, I guess we've got May till find out. But yeah, gents, it's been a long time coming, I think, to do this podcast. But it's always nice to do like a general discussion about Newcastle, and hopefully we can do a couple more in the next few weeks as well. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in as well. We should hopefully be back next week to analyse the training trip in Dubai, and of course talk about the Spurs game. Hopefully we'll be talking about another win. Hopefully we'll go 9 unbeaten after this training camp. But yeah, thanks again to everyone who come on, and then we'll see you next time. Bye bye.